Ladies, gentlemen, boys and girls, lovers of golf, haters of us, we are happy to be with you today. Now, I'll be honest, Jay, like we don't get any hate anymore. We get like the odd one, but like it's died down on Twitter. It's almost as if Rory's saying he wants to go down to an 18 schedule, 20 schedule events. It's almost like it's almost like all of the contrition from a lot of the former live haters. It's almost like that all of the anti-live brigade have just sort of melted away.
Yeah, some would say that's to blame. Others would say that the coordinated PR campaign has been defunded. That could be part of the deal too. It could be a combination of things.
They got no money to fund
But
it.
right, yeah, exactly. Yeah, they're running out of money for sure. That is what I've heard about the PGA Tour. They're starting to cut back on things, and I've
We'll
been
talk
in a
about we'll talk about that in a minute because you and I
yeah,
have both
fair,
got different stories from different people, and we
fair,
both know they're good. And we're not going to reveal our sources because
of
let's
course.
just say in our sources we've got current live players, major winners, we've got current PGA Tour players, we've got various sources. The cupboards are bare, and SSG are not going to just fund everything.
No, no, and I think that the power plays have already started.
Hmm.
Like I've been saying for a while, everybody needs to sort of strap in because I think the next 3 to 4 months is going to be a lot happening. And I've honestly said that, like, I really do feel like the next 3 to 4 months are going to determine the next 30
10
years
years.
of pro golf.
Well, definitely
Well,
10,
we'll
definitely
say
10
10.
years because you never know,
Yeah,
do you? But definitely 10. You're
yeah,
right, probably longer.
yeah. Yeah, you never know, but at the same time, I think that the dominoes falling now are going to be felt for many years to come.
Let me start off by look. Let's be really clear. Do I like the idea of the PGA Tour and do I love golf? Yes. I'm much more of a fan and defender of the PGA Tour than you are. Now, I'm going to attack and defend the PGA Tour massively now. And I know that you don't give a shit and are probably not even going to bother to give more than 30 seconds of what I'm going to say. If you're a
No,
live fan, no, you don't know
I
what I'm going to
care
say
about
yet.
the PJ Tour.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
do care about the PJ Tour. I just want them to up level. I'm like a lot of US golf fans. I've been so frustrated with everything that's gone on there for the past several years that I've had to like sort of turn it off in a lot of ways. I would love to turn it back on. I really would. So
Well, look,
continue. Sorry.
here's my point. If you're a, if you're a live fan like we are, but you're being a live stan and saying it's disgusting the President's Cup has no live players in. Look how weak the President's Cup team is. I'm going to defend the PGA Tour here. It is the PGA Tour's event. Do I think they should have more players in it? Yes, because it would be a better product, make them more money.
For
But
sure.
they have no obligation. They have no reason to pick live players. The President's
Yeah.
Cup is a PGA Tour owned event. That would
Yeah.
be like saying to the English Premier League, why don't you host an event and bring in Bayern Munich, AC Milan, Real Madrid? Like they're not they're not members of the English Premier League.
Right.
It
That's fair.
would be like it'd be like in the CFL team to come and play in the first round of playoffs. Do you know what I mean? It just doesn't
Yeah.
NFL plus. It just wouldn't happen.
For
And
sure.
I tried to explain this online, but people are like, "Oh mate, why are you defending the PGA Tour?" I'm not defending the PGA Tour. I very clear. I think the PGA Tour are moronic to have not found a way to invite players, but I also understand why they haven't and that they can't really because it's a PGA Tour event and you've got to play on the PGA Tour to be in it. Those
Yeah.
are their rules. So
Yes.
the PGA Tour has no reason to, nor should they, pick live players for President's Cup. Would undoubtedly the international team be stronger and maybe even beat the the USA team. Who knows? Based on how some of these USA team are playing currently, outside of Scottie, no one's a Scottie and Xander, no one's really a guarantee. Really,
Hmm.
I would just want to say that the PGA Tour don't have to pick them. It
Yeah.
would be a much better event with them. But also, how could they pick them? Because of all the water that's gone under the bridge and the machinations and the way that tournament's organised,
Yeah.
they can't really pick them. So look, if you're hating
Yeah.
on the President's Cup because it's got no live players in, that's one thing, and I get that. And will
Yeah.
I watch a second of the President's Cup? And you know, I might watch 25, 30 minutes. But the
Hmm.
USA, if the USA aren't going to win by 12 matches, that's because they've deliberately tried to make a game of it. Because
Yeah.
the USA team is so strong. But you can't hate on the PGA Tour for not picking them because it's a PGA Tour event, and they shouldn't and probably have no way of picking the LIV
Right.
players.
Yeah, I think that's all fair. I think that and look, we can sort of dog the President's Cup from now until the cows come home, but it is a PGA Tour event, like you mentioned. That being said, there's a very strong chance over the course of time the President's Cup gets sort of spun off, and there's a new entity that sort of owns this thing. So, and that particular entity could potentially change the rules. They could make it like a LIV versus PGA Tour thing, which I mean seems like it's sort of in the works from an independent party that we'll get into at a later time. The thing that sort of bothers me most about the President's Cup is just the international team. It's so clear that they've been completely decimated. Like most of the great international players.
It's just a garbage team. I'm not being. They're all good. They're good players.
Yeah.
Obviously, they're good players. They're professional golfers. They're excellent players.
Yeah, of course.
Compared to what it could be, I looked through it, and I think you can make the case there are 7 players from LIV that would make the international team. Which that's not just a large amount. That's not just a large amount. That's a tremendous. Like if you just go to the standings, obviously Joaquin would be in there, Louis would be in there, Cam Smith would be in there, Dean Burmeister would be in there, Abance would be in there, Carlos Ortiz probably would be in there. So that's 6. Mark Leishman.
I mean,
probably.
You can even talk about guys like Sebastian Munoz. Like Sebastian Munoz, people forget the last President's Cup. He beat Scottie Scheffler in the singles. So there's so much. LIV has so much of the international depth that like they were sort of forced to sort of pick from some of the scraps left over. Let's just call a spade a spade.
Between 7 and 8 players on LIV should be in that international team, and you've got to believe that would be a much better event.
Yeah, of course. And yeah, look, the President's Cup is what it is. It's not the Ryder Cup. It never will be. And at the same time, like all of these events, whether it's Ryder Cup or President's Cup, they're like excluding a pretty large swath of the world. So I think that there's certainly room for another event that sort of incorporates the entire world instead of just either the U.S. and Europe or the U.S. and sort of non-Europe. Like there could be so much more potentially done with this that, we've talked about a little bit. There's a lot of ideas out there. I'm just hopeful. The problem with the PGA Tour is that because of all of their bureaucracy, years of bureaucracy and rules, they are so slow to change things. Like that's been one of my frustrations with them. Like they can't move quickly.
No, I don't agree. They don't want to move quickly.
Well, that's
because they can move. They can't. No, because look.
Yeah, they can.
I'll die on the hill if you're completely wrong. Because when they had to bring in the £500,000 stipend for everyone, they brought that in straight away. When they had to change PGA Tour University, they brought that in straight away. Whenever they want to bring
the Bread and Tiger to the board. Yeah, Bread and Tiger to the board immediately.
If they want to move, Jay, they'll move in seconds.
Yeah.
But what I think you're wrong is they don't want to do it. They've got no interest in change.
Yeah, that's part of it. But I also think that when you do have a culture of bureaucracy, like, I mean, some of those things came directly from the top. So, like, when things come directly from the top, things change. Like, that's certainly. I worked a lot of companies where that's been the case. Like, you knew if something came from the CEO directly, things were going to change.
Get on with it, yeah.
Yeah, the problem with the PGA Tour is that their overall culture, and this is talking about upper management, middle management, whoever it is, like they just have this culture of stagnation where they're not really they don't have a culture of like innovation. Like I know for a fact, LIV has a culture of innovation. Like they're changing and tweaking stuff every single like event, basically, not just every year. Like they are so more nimble to be able to change things because they're not tied down by a lot of the things that the PGA Tour is, and their culture is that of innovation, which is like a really, really important thing that I would want the entire sport of golf. I want the entire sport of golf to adopt this like idea of like constantly innovating. Like that's what the sport needs more than anything else.
100%. And I think on that, let's. I want to go. You put up a tweet yesterday, which is make no mistake, Rory and SSG made a big statement today. and you want to say a few things. We're going to talk about that today, but I want to talk about one other thing that's off the back of that, but I want to talk about because we're still on PGA Tour. Has there been a bigger FU than Scottie and Rory going and doing this event with Brooks and Bryson? Because the PGA Tour are now in a position, and I don't think the average golf fan, especially the anti-live golf fan, is quite understanding the gravity of this. Now, you don't have to like Jay.
No.
Most of you don't, but most of you like me, so have a listen. Look, your fans are more diehard than mine, but at least fewer people hate me. Right.
That's probably a fair assessment, but yeah, it's a
I've
very
got
small, loud minority.
look. I've got loads
Except for
more
Colt Nose, but yeah,
I've got loads more
stuff.
7 out of 10 fans than you have, but you've got loads more 10s and loads more zeros, right? The point I'm trying to make, and just think about this now: the PGA Tour lost players to LIV for one main reason: money and opportunity. That money and opportunity has been stated from the start by two of the biggest names in the world of Bryson and Phil about name, image, and likeness. I want my name, image, and likeness. I want my own YouTube channel. I want to do my name, image, and likeness.
100%.
And they've said it from the start. So that was the catalyst. And Phil, what, 21, 22 months before LIV existed, was moaning about not being able to use his image and likeness. Bryson,
he's been
about 3 or 4 months.
For a while.
Bryson, 3 months before he went over to LIV, and was it feels like it for years, but was really vociferous about it, right?
Right.
And then Bryson, 3-4 months before he went across, was saying how he wanted to do more and couldn't do more because the PGA Tour image rights. Okay.
Yep.
So now, the PGA Tour have got one of two choices, and both of them F them in the ass, right? The two choices are they fine and punish Scottie, Scheffler and Rory, arguably outside of Xander. You got no one on the PGA Tour in that same stratosphere of star. Cantlay's great, Clark's great. There's loads of great players, but you'd say star power, Hideki and Asia. But talking real star power, it's Xander, Rory and Scottie at the minute. So are you going to fine and punish Scottie and Rory? If you do, you are pushing Rory out the door, I feel, especially his comments the last 3 weeks, and Chris McKee and his comments and saying about Rory wants this and this, and Chris McKee's posted that video, which has been great.
Yep, 1,000%.
Or you don't fine them, and you open the door for every PGA Tour player to do what they want when they want. Because if you don't fine them, it's open season. If you do fine them, they might go. The PGA Tour have been checkmated by the old enemies, Bryson and Brooks.
Yeah.
It is absolutely phenomenal.
Yes.
And this, folks, if you're listening, and Jay's talking about SSG and about everything else, and we're going to talk about it, and how the domino is going to fall. This is the moment in world golf where the lines will be drawn. And the problem for the PGA Tour is wherever the line is drawn, they lose. Because they're either going to piss off their two of their three biggest stars, or they're going to piss off 178 tour players. They got pick the method of your death. That's it.
Yeah,
that's the truth.
It 100% is, and it's not just tied into Rory and Scottie, because you can look. I've sort of made the case about Scottie Scheffler not having more star power than a lot of the other guys that haven't gone to LIV. That's sort of a story for another day. I'm lumping him in for now. It's totally fine. The elephant in the room here is SSG.
He is a star player on the PGA Tour. I know you can comparatively about star and personality. But what I'm saying is on the PGA Tour, he is number one. He is number 1, 2, 3.
That is true. However, one of my biggest criticisms of Scottie Scheffler was that, like, I wanted him to do more. Like, he has been, of all the number one players throughout history, he has very clearly done the least in terms of doing extra to try to grow golf, whether it be domestically or sort of internationally. Like, even though someone like Dustin Johnson doesn't like really say a ton in the media,
no.
Like, DJ has his own school, his own golf school in South Carolina. It's actually run by a former assistant coach at Duke. I know you hate hate when I talk about Duke, but
How
shout
many
out
minutes
Al.
in? How many minutes are we in, folks? Let's just have a look. How many minutes are we in?
15 minutes.
14 minutes. 14 minutes. Well, after you cut the start of you and I gibbering,
But it's
we're
relevant.
14 and a half minutes.
It's relevant. Shout out Coach Terrell. So so like DJ has his own school. He has his own junior series. Like he is doing all of these other things that he's using the money that he got from LIV to like partly fund these things. Scottie Scheffler hasn't done any of his stuff yet. So it's like this is maybe like a really important catalyst to him to sort of do. This is like his first real like exhibition too. Like this is, I think Scottie Scheffler has a lot more that he could be doing, and I'm hoping this is a catalyst towards him getting there. So that's sort of another story in this. However, the elephant in the room is SSG, because SSG, they are basically funding.
Before we come to elephant,
Okay.
I want to put a pin in the elephant.
Okay.
Before you get to the elephant, what about the fact that PGA Tour refused to comment? Because I imagine SSG asked them not to comment because SSG are trying to scramble behind the scenes because they are trying to pull levers because they are money men and they know, look, I'm 41. I'm not the world's. I'm not an astrophysicist. I'm not a rocket scientist, but I understand money and business, and I can tell you now, those guys are a billion times brighter. They know whichever side the PGA Tour go or comment they're going to make, they're going to anger someone. So SSG has told them not to comment. Do you agree?
I think that might be part of it, or it's just one of those situations. And this is where there is a little bit of speculation, because I've sort of heard conflicting information about this. Some people think that SSG sort of is doing this kind of behind the PGA Tour's back because they're so frustrated with the progress, and sort of because they invested like it's going to be going on a year, like in terms of when they committed the 1.5 billion, and not much has really come out of it since then. Like, they make no mistake about it. SSG made this investment because they also want PIF to invest so that they can move in lockstep to make golf better, so that they're able to get return on their investment. That's the whole thing. And I know there's a lot of people out there that like this kind of goes over their heads because we're talking about business, we're talking about the economics of sport and all that stuff. If there's people that sort of are turned off to this and they prefer baby food stuff, that's totally fine. There's a million other podcasts out there. Foreplay, whoever you want to talk about, this is going to give you baby food stuff. We're going to talk about the real business side stuff.
No, Foreplay have had a huge upgrade.
Oh, I think it's actually a downgrade that Dan Rappaport's not there anymore, because he legitimized them in a way that those other three clowns, like they are clowns. Let's just call it what it is. They're there to entertain people. They're like, that's what they're not there because they're great golfers or anything like that.
Argument 3, folks. We're at minute 18. Argument 3. Dan Rappaport, he might have legitimized them, but he made the podcast worse. The podcast was, I couldn't listen to it. The Sanctum. I loved it when they had Lurch on there. He listened to it. I didn't like Lurch. It's still in my most listened to podcasts, based on how much I listened to it, and I haven't listened to it since Rappel's been on there for nearly 2 years. Because I listened to every episode the best part of 2.5 years before that. I cannot stand his sanctimony. I cannot stand the sanctimony. It just drives me.
Yeah, he's an interesting guy. I obviously, for people that don't know, I met Dan Rappaport. He was LIV Miami earlier this year. We had a conversation for 20-25 minutes, sort of talking about everything going on. And if anybody has been in our Twitter spaces, you already knew that his time at Barstool and Foreplay was going to be up pretty soon for a variety of reasons. So like, look. Going back to my point, though, there is like plenty of other podcasts that are just going to give you the balls and strikes. Like, if you want more information and like want to analyze this stuff for yourself, we're the ones that are going to give you more information about this, and pretty much any other podcast, golf podcast specifically, out there. So I do think that there's a lot of politicking going on behind the scenes. I think this is a huge power play by Rory, because Rory's been sort of talking about this with Brian Zurif, who is the producer of the match. He's the one that's sort of the main person behind Entertainment and Ever Wonder Studio. Ever Wonder Studio is basically financed by Redbird, who's a huge stakeholder in SSG. So that should tell you guys like what's the sort of the machinations behind the scenes of this stuff. So again, this is a huge power play by Rory. I think that he is putting the PGA Tour's back up against the wall with SSG behind him. And there's clearly factions within the PGA Tour that are warring right now. And Rory is making this power play that says, hey, we need to, because he's been saying it in press conferences for months now, 6, 7, 8 months. Like, hey, we need to bring these guys back into the fold. We need to let bygones be bygones because it's going to be the best thing for golf. Unfortunately, there's people within the PGA Tour that are not acting in the best interests of golf. So he is forcing their hand here, and it's going to be really, really interesting to see where things fall out because, again, the net result of this could be Rory basically says, look, I've tried everything at this point. You guys are leaving me no choice. I'm going to start my own team at LIV Golf League. Goodbye.
Yeah.
So
and I think a comment you're not making, but I want to just observe is they're not acting in the best interest because I think they mistakenly believe they still hold the power.
Yeah. Well,
I think people thinking, oh, don't worry, we'll just sit this one out. But let me tell you, sitting this one out is gone for you. And this isn't a victory lap for LIV because the victory lap for me isn't about LIV; it's about golf being better, right? I love the LIV product. I wish there was more golf played in the LIV style product, either PGA Tour or LIV. I just wish there's more of it. I wish there were more people together. Right. What I want to see and what I want to get from this is it's not a victory lap for LIV. Golf's got to be better. But we've got to make sure and understand how people are coming together in golf and how we're going to work together in golf. But that means the right people have got to be in the right place and they've got to want to be in the right place. But LIV is winning here.
It's no question about it. LIV and the PIF.
LIV and PIF are winning it, and the PGA Tour are going to be losing from here. And there's no they've got this imagination that actually things are going well for the PGA Tour. They'll wait it out. And my point I was trying to make before I sneezed was that so much so. Here's how you're not winning. LIV have just put their first 4 events opposite 4 of your biggest 6 events. The biggest 6 events the PGA Tour have in the first 3 months, 3.5 months of the year, LIV have gone, there you are, we'll go opposite you. We've never gone opposite you before, we'll go opposite you now.
Yeah.
They're going head to head. And they're going head to head because you and I both know, and we know it. Look, if you don't think we know what we're talking about, go and look at the people we've got photos with. Go and look at the people you know we talk to. Go and look on Instagram and Twitter. You look at the people that people know that we talk to. Who we have access to, who we get to spend our time with at LIV. How many people get to have range access and walk on the range and get to spend time with the players, staff, the coaches, the caddies? We're lucky enough to do that. So when I'm telling you now that the plan is to go to 60 players and have more teams and have a bigger setup and have a global tour, I'm not saying it because I'm bored. I'm saying it because this is what we're being told. And everything we've told you is going to happen has happened. With the exception of Rory yet going.
Yeah.
Yeah?
And Tony Finau not going. But that's except timing of that is just, it's just the timing thing that is extenuating.
I'll take that. No, you're right. There is no chance Tony wouldn't have gone if that court case hadn't got moved back.
Yep.
No, none at all.
It's a done deal.
Tony was gone. But he couldn't go into the court. He couldn't go when the court case got moved back. He's going to have to give away. He's going to give away 22% that 85 million, and he didn't want to do that.
Yeah,
so
it's a lot of money.
Tony would have gone.
Yeah.
But the Rory thing, everything we've said, and his comments are changing. I still believe he'll go.
Yeah,
and I think the PGA Tour. I think LIV are so confident that there's going to be some either bit of coming together, or they know they're going to get Xander, Rory, Victor, Hideki, two of those 4, and 7 other players to have a fantastic quality league.
Yeah, that would
That's why
be
they're that
a huge
confident.
upgrade.
That's why they're
Yeah.
going up against, and the PGA Tour are knackered. So now I've interrupted you. Explain
No, that was good.
explain your point on SSG, because I think we've just got to really hammer home now why SSG are worried. Because I think hopefully even the detractors who don't believe in LIV are listening now and going, well, if that does happen, then there is a
Yeah.
problem. So even if you don't think it's going to happen,
Yep.
SSG's job is to understand risk and see where the risk is. So well, now you all understand
1,000%.
this is an opportunity. Jay, why are SSG terrified?
Well, yeah, part of it is, SSG was sort of signing up to this whole deal, assuming that PIF was that they weren't going to be necessarily competing with PIF, that they were going to be investing with PIF. Because trust me on this, like a lot of these guys at SSG, they are already in partnerships with Yasser and the PIF. Perfect example of that.
In other businesses and other sports.
Yes, no, that's exactly where I was going. Jerry Cardinal, who's actually he's the principal at Redbird that we already sort of
Yeah, yeah.
talked about. He owns a controlling interest in AC Milan. Guess what? Guess what entity has been interested in purchasing AC Milan? That would be Yasser and the PIF. So these guys are already sort of in cahoots in a lot of ways. And that's just sort of one example. There's a lot of other entanglements here between SSG and the PIF. They know that between those two entities coming together, that the pro golf world, all of the unlocked potential that we have yet to get to in professional golf, that's the path to unlocking everything. A combination of the legacy and tradition of the PGA Tour with this sort of new LIV model that like can actually unlock some more value. There's so many sort of value creation events that have yet to happen. That's one of the things that gets me really, really excited about the future of golf. And for there to be like any impediments to this happening, trust me, these guys that have invested billions of dollars are not going to be happy about it. And they're going to start pulling power plays. This is the first of one of those power plays. There's actually been some other power plays too, but this would certainly be a huge, huge power play in this whole entire game. And I think Rory is at the center of that. He's been in the center of this for the past year, ever since late last year when he started to walk back some of his comments about LIV and the players there and all that other stuff. Like that should have been the catalyst to like everybody thinking, oh, if Rory can change his thought, like there must be other things going on behind the scenes that are changing this. This isn't just like some sort of magic wand moment. Like this has been an evolution. It's been driven by a lot of these super, super powerful people that like want to invest in this game. And they are not going to stop until the barriers are removed and they're able to do exactly what they want to do. And this is going to be one of those first power plays that's going to set the table for the next, several decades of pro golf. Like that's where we're at right now.
And people do business with each other, and they do familiarity in business, and they have deals. They know if they do this, this will help with this, this will help with this, this will help with this. SSG, part of me wonders if SSG care at all about the PGA Tour anymore, and have gone, hang on, bear with me. I do work with VCs and private equity firms every week. I'm on the phone to one of them today. They place 20 to 30 to 50 to 100 bets a year, depending what their investment criteria is. And they will place bets of 500k to 50 million to 200 million to 500 million to whatever it is. And they will say, we only need 3 of these to come off, 2 of these, 4 of these to come off for us to make money. If any others do, great. But they do it with the knowledge that X amount could turn to 0 or X amount could be fire sales. They don't. That's how they work. And if any of you aren't sure, think I'm talking gibberish, go look at how VCs invest, private equity firms invest, investment managers invest. They do that knowing that. There's a lot of that. They could, SSG go, okay, we put in this money. What we'll do is we'll get you to force some sort of asset strip, sell off those TPCs, whatever it might be, and go, that's it, we're done. I'm not saying that's going to happen. But there is a world in which that could happen, especially, yes, Jay, if tomorrow doesn't come off. If the Golf League doesn't come off, I think they know they're screwed. I think they know they're in trouble. So, what are the possible solutions? Now, one of the solutions is, with all sorts of investments like this, is that you find other sources of money.
Right.
And so, one of those sources of money could be, and I've said this for a long time, they sell the DP World Tour rights, their share, their whatever you want to refer to it as.
Yep.
They don't refer to it in the way I'd refer to it, but let's just say their share in the DP World Tour, the money they owe the DP World Tour, and maybe their stake possibly within the Ryder Cup or their DP Tour World bit of the Ryder Cup. Because actually, the DP World Tour is hemorrhaging money. We know that.
Yeah. Yes.
And the PGA Tour has got to fund it, and they can't. The PGA Tour haven't got the money to fund it, and the money but worse than that, Jay, the money they will fund it that they don't have isn't going to be enough to keep it going. So actually, they're just throwing good money after bad. Okay, on the PGA Tour, I've got to put in 95 million this year, but actually, it probably needs 150. So are they better off? Are they better off going, hey, Liv, hey, Piff, can we have off you 850 million, and we will give you the DP World Tour? Now, I don't think it's a coincidence that John Rahm and Tyrrell Hatton and a few others didn't have their memberships taken away. Because Lee did, Ian did.
Yeah.
Find me a bigger servant to the DP World Tour or the European Tour as it was than Ian Poulter.
Yeah.
Very few. Lee Westwood, Paul Casey, Sergio Garcia, all had their memberships removed. Now,
Blandy,
all had their memberships removed. But then the latter ones didn't.
Yeah.
And I believe there's a reason behind that. And that reason is that they don't want to get rid of them. And they didn't want to get rid of the first lot. And while the PGA Tour were happy to pay, and Jay was all the mouthpiece, and his mate Keith, who was useless, was there, that they did what they were told. But I genuinely think that there is a very strong chance we see the DP World Tour and the International Series sitting alongside each other, funded by the PIF.
Yeah.
And LIV sitting over the top. PGA Tour, go and do what you want to do. If you want to give our players access to make your tour better, we're not going to stand in the way. Our players can come and play with you if it fits their schedule, because that's LIV's strong card. We'll always allow people to go and play. You can go and play wherever you want if it doesn't clash with ours. Go play wherever you want. We've got 14 events a year. You've got 4 majors. Go. If you want to go and play another 4 events, go and play. And then I'll get the PGA Tour if they want to allow that. And then the PGA Tour can go, okay, we'll allow some players over, and the PGA Tour can do it with another 850 million in their back pocket because they're no longer paying for the DP World Tour.
Right. Yeah.
I'm just saying, if I'm SSG, I've had a word with Yasser and gone, hey mate, you got 850 million knocking around? Of course he has. They make that in a few days, I imagine, off the oil.
Oh.
So
yeah, for sure. No,
can I have 850 million? Yeah, no worries at all. And we'll have the DP World Tour, and then you're going to have the International Series sat here. Yeah, the viewers, I'm putting my hands up. Listeners, International Series sat here, and the DP World Tour sat here alongside each other, no difference, because they want them to be seen as the same. And the Asian Tour and the Challenge Tour sitting underneath both of them. And players will be able to go across a little bit, maybe play 2 on one, 2 on the other, 3 on one, 3 on the other. And those are your 2 channels into LIV. And there'll be a promotion and relegation. Top 6 in the DP World Tour, top 6 in the International Series, or 5, whatever it is, and then 10 get relegated from LIV, and they get dispersed amongst those. That, I believe, is how it will look. Because there is no way what we did think might happen, which was a world tour with the PGA Tour. Right. That ain't happening. It ain't happening at all.
Doesn't look like it. No.
Tigers said no. XL have said no.
Yeah. Yeah, the whole Tiger component is kind of another story. Like, I think that Tiger's having his strings pulled by some other people, though remain nameless. But because I had on good authority that, you know, Tiger and Yasser have had very productive conversations in the Bahamas, and it sounded like Tiger was sort of bought into the mission. However, like, there's been other sort of barriers that have come in that have prevented that from actually happening. Now we're talking about, we're going on basically 6-7 months of that. So I mean, that's not a coincidence that, like, everything that's sort of happened since then. So, it's going to be really interesting to see how things play out. I do think, like I've been saying for, I mean, gosh, over a year, that like the net of this is going to be, the PGA Tour footprint is going to decrease, because it's been a bloated product for a very long time. It makes no sense, the amount of events that they have. Like, to have 48 events is great. It's absolutely, like, it makes no sense. So, and I do have like some other theories about like what SSG is trying to do to potentially reduce that and make the PGA Tour a more profitable product, which I think is going to come down the pike. Like, I think they're going to start, just like whenever any sort of a private equity comes into any corporation. I was tweeting about this like a year and a half ago. Like, whenever a private equity company comes into, any situation where they're evaluating their assets, they're evaluating sort of what the sections that are profitable, the ones that aren't, and things that are losing money. Guess what? Things are going to get cut. And I've had it on very good authority that it sounds like budgets are being cut at the PGA Tour. This isn't a coincidence. So it's like, how long are they going to be able to float these like huge purses that they have
events.
in the
I'd cut 10 events tomorrow.
Easily. Yeah, I mean, probably more. Like, I think it needs to be 25 to 30 events max.
But so I'm going to cut 10 events, and I'm going to cut the 4 opposite field events.
Yep.
That's 14 gone.
Yep.
14 events.
It's a start. Yeah, it's a start. Yeah.
Because maybe 45 to 30 is enough of a first start. 45 to 25 is a big one.
Yeah, it needs to be a transition for sure. But it's like, when you're losing sponsors and you're having to kind of like, let's be honest, scrape the bottom of the barrel for some of these other sponsors. Like, we have an event here in the Bay Area in Napa that used to be sponsored by Safeway. Then it was sponsored by Fortinet. Nobody even heard of Fortinet before. Now it's become a little bit, the profile's been raised a little bit. I mean, now it's sponsored by Procore. Like, Procore cannot be like one of their top options to sponsor PGA Tour events. Like, shout out to them for like investing in the product. I may actually go there.
Who is Procore?
Yeah, exactly.
I didn't know. No, point and criticize me. I didn't mean like. Is it a very American firm?
No, it's a construction company. So it's like, I don't really. The thing is, like, nobody really knows that much about them either. So it's like, I know that they special, and maybe that's part of the reason why they're investing, because they want to get their name out there.
I wasn't being a dick.
But it's that's a fact. Like, I mean, there's so many sponsors, like, Truist taking over for Wells Fargo. Wells Fargo is a global bank. Everybody knows Wells Fargo. Truist, honestly, if you're outside of the Southeast United States, you don't know who Truist is. Truist isn't in California. Truist isn't in New York. Truist isn't in a lot of the biggest markets. Truist certainly isn't international. Nobody in the UK knows who Truist is.
Yeah, you know what in my world I did, but you're right.
You're more involved in the finance banking side, but
99% of people would have no idea.
Yeah, exactly. So, and then you start adding this up, like.
But I didn't know Procore because I'm not in the construction industry.
Yeah, neither am I. That's why I was like, wait, who is this? So
maybe
I knew
maybe
Fortinet.
the amount of time you said Procore, maybe they need to hook us up with something. What can we get off them?
That's actually a good point.
Yeah, let's have a look.
Yeah. No, take a look.
So I've searched Procore just very quickly in the UK, right? Mm-hmm. And they are 1, 2, 3. They're 4th down. And Procore, what do we do? What's our solutions? Tender management, project management, workforce planning,
software.
Yeah. What can they hook us up with? I don't know. But
I don't think there's much that they can, unless we're out there trying to build a new technology. Well, maybe I might apply.
Well, maybe we build our golf range we've spoken about, and they can help us.
Yeah, it's a back. Well, we'll save that. We'll save that conversation for another day. The whole point is, like, some of these sponsors are not exactly household names. You're not fighting tooth and nail to sort of Some of these bigger sponsors out there are not interested right now. So for a variety of reasons, and there's strings being pulled in both directions. And like where things net out is that I think that a smaller PGA Tour, a more nimble PGA Tour, and maybe they cut down the amount of cards that they have too, because that's probably something that has to happen. That just makes so much sense on a variety of levels, and like can potentially make them more profitable moving forward, and potentially spinning off their sort of investment in the DP World Tour is like a great way for them to inject cash if they're going to turn down this $3 billion from the PIF. It's like, okay, consolation prizes, you get 800 million from us. We take the European Tour and everything with it. It's actually a pretty good deal because like PIF and LIV controlling that sort of ecosystem is like a really, really good idea where they can make a lot of really cool stuff happen. So, and if the PGA Tour wants to be a part of it, great. It's pretty clear that they kind of don't. So even though I'm still hopeful they're going to be able to sort something out the next 3 months, and maybe Rory and sort of SSG are the catalyst. But if that doesn't happen, I think that's a really good consolation prize.
Right. Well, we've done golf politics, and who's going to win, Bryson and Brooks or Scottie and Rory?
You know, my money's got to be on Bryson, and Brooks. Even though I'm not a betting man, obviously. However, no, just because I think that those two, they've got more. It depends on the format. I've already heard from the producers like the format hasn't been figured out yet. I think that's going to have a lot to do with it because look,
if it's alternate shot.
Well, the thing is, for as good as Rory and Scottie are at driving, and Scottie's great in sort of second shots, Rory's great with the long irons. Like you have two guys that are not exactly known for their clutch putting. Let's just call it what it is. And you know, short games are Scottie's chipping's really good, but his putting is below average.
He was lights out last week. That's the thing when. Because Scottie's so good. When the putter gets hot, he is the best player in the world, without a doubt. Because when his putter gets hot, he's just offensively good.
Yeah, except with all that being said, if they didn't have the Tour Championship handicap, he would not have won. It would have been Colin Morikawa, and Scottie Scheffler would have finished third. So, I mean, he had the deck stacked in his favor. On a brand new course for everybody for the most part, even though the routing didn't change.
He did earn the deck being stacked in his favor.
He did. I mean, he earned it, but it's like that's why the PGA Tour system is just like not like nobody really needs these playoffs. Nobody really needs this. They didn't need to change the system at all. When Tiger, I remember vividly when Tiger came back 2018 and he won the Tour Championship. They gave away 2 trophies. That was perfectly fine. Like, I didn't see any reason why. Look, Tiger won that particular event. It was a great thing. If you did that now and Tiger won the gross division, like, he wouldn't have come away with a trophy. And that is kind of a travesty. Like, if you're going to have this tour that's based on legacy and tradition, all this other stuff that you keep shoving down our throats every single week, you can't end your season like this. You just can't. Like, you have to have a legit tournament, and then you need to have, this sort of season-long race that comes down to the wire too. Like, there was no reason to change it.
No, viewers will have seen I did something while Jay was ranting. For the audio, I've just put on my Legion 13 hat, which is actually I was trying to work out which hats I've not got. I've not got a Torquay, I've not got a Cleeks, I've not got High Flyers.
I'm working on the others. Yeah, I got to get a new high Flyers one with the new logo. That's a good point.
How would your Cleeks contact to hook us up with some hats?
We're working on getting
for hats. I've paid for 2 hats, and that grates me.
I got to get a hoodie for Mrs. PGC first. She's already said if I don't get her a hoodie, it's gonna be hell to pay.
Why, viewers and listeners, have I got a Legion 13 hat on? It's because I believe that Jon Rahm will win the individual championship this week. Jay, Who do you believe is going to win?
So as
Not
much as
one.
I want all my four aces to do well, I have to say who I think is going to win.
Yeah, boy.
I think
Look at
John
that.
Rahm's probably going to win. That
Yes.
being said, this being
Woo.
said, I want to make it abundantly clear: John Rahm is not who I'm rooting for. I'm
Yeah.
rooting for Joaquin Niemann. Shout out Waco. I want him to win the season-long race for a variety of reasons, but one, being the number one individual in LIV, it's very clear that the PGA Championship last year, this past season, they recognize who won the individual championship last year. Taylor Gooch, he got an invite to the PGA when he wasn't getting invites to any other majors. I want Waco to get those invites to all four majors next year. It was a travesty that he wasn't in the U.S. Open. It's still something that grinds my gears. Joaquin Niemann needs to be in every major moving forward for the next, for the prime of his career. He needs to not miss another one. So if the majors, and I know that they're working out exactly how many spots they're going to give to LIV players. I need Joaquin Niemann more than anybody else to be in majors the next several years. So make it happen. Although I got to say, I'm favoring Rahm just because he's been so consistent all year.
Yeah.
He's really pissed right now at the media, the way they've been talking about him, spreading fake news. He wants to shove it down their throats. I think Rahm next year is going to have an unbelievable year. And before we know it, you can write this down, take a picture, however you want to do it. Before we know it, John Rahm's going to be at 4 majors won. I'm not saying when. I'm just saying it's going to happen sooner than people think because he is about to hit another level. I'm very, very convinced of it. And it's probably going to start in Chicago.
He's on 2, right? So where's the next Open?
Portrush and Oakmont U.S. Open next
Yeah.
year.
So
Quail Hollow PGA.
So Oakmont suits him massively, right?
Oh, Oakmont, yeah. He's going to be a huge favorite.
Oakmont suits him massively, and Quail Hollow suits him well. Portrush isn't. Look, he's John Rahm. He's one of the top 3 golfers in the world. Every course suits him. But if you said to me of those 3, well, obviously Augusta, of those 4 courses, which one do I think suits him the least? It's definitely Portrush.
Fair.
Definitely.
Fair.
Which one suits him the most? Oakmont. Have you got a good short game and can you whack it miles? Yeah, lovely stuff.
Yeah, no, he's definitely. I think Oakmont's sort of tailor made for. Shout out tailor made for John Rahm, but I definitely think that there's going to be. I think that he played like he was a amateur the last time the U.S. Open was at Oakmont 2016. He finished 23rd as an amateur. So, I mean, we're talking. I mean, he has elevated his game significantly since then, and I think he's going to start peaking next year. Like he's been like people don't want to talk about it, but like after he won the Masters last year on the PGA Tour, he had a dip in performance for sure. That dip, it was like starting to come up when he came over to LIV, and he was like pretty steady, even though he didn't win an event. He's made another leap the last few weeks. He obviously won a LIV event, and I think he's going to continue this next year. Like he is super motivated. Like I think next year we're going to see a John Rahm that competes in like pretty much every major that he's in, and he's going to win once. And look, I've got a good track record with this because I will say 2023, I said Brooks Koepka was going to win a major. He won a major. 2024, I said Bryson DeChambeau was going to win a major. He won a major.
Oh, hang on.
Next year, John Rahm's my guy.
Mate, you're one of my best mates. But I ain't having this shit of I picked Brooks Koepka and I picked Bryson. You picked some.
Go back in the tweets. No,
I know.
Go back in the tweets.
I know you did it. I know you did it. I know you did it. But don't show off. They're some of the best golfers in the world. If you'd said,
no, because people were dogging
going to win,
no,
and he wins, that's different.
No, because when I tweeted this, there were many people.
Davis Riley's going to win. Great, that's a great show. But Bryson DeChambeau, one of the greatest golfers in the world, winning. Oh, what? You're Mystic, Meg.
I'm glad you mentioned that because there's a lot of people that were messaging me when I tweeted that saying that, oh, these guys aren't even Corn Ferry level anymore. Like they are so past their I had somebody tweeting me this week that Brooks Koepka was totally washed again. And I'm like, did you guys not see that, like, he won a major last year? Like, Brooks Koepka's not done winning majors for sure.
No.
John Rahm's not done winning majors for sure. Bryson DeChambeau's not finished winning majors for sure. And Rory McIlroy is probably not done winning majors either, if he makes the decision that he needs to make in a few months.
When he comes over to LIV, he'll be rejuvenated. He'll be around really good players, alpha males. He can start to rebuild his character a little bit. He'll help him.
Yeah, it's going to be
He won't ever talk to us when we're there.
He will. He will.
We're gonna go from fantastic relationships with every player to being where they have to leave the range.
Look, he knows better.
Ben, your range pass has been revoked. Why is that? Because Rory's joined. Oh, crap.
He knows better than anybody, and he will admit this, that every golf needs villains. He was quoted in his press conference at the Tour Championship last week about this. Everybody needs villains. It's a very, very important thing. I think that I've been more on the Rory side than you have. I will say I've defended him when, like, a lot of people weren't, for sure, and he knows it. So anyway, we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. I'm sure everything will work out. But yeah, we'll have to see.
Yeah, hopefully he won't hate us too much. But again, I've never attacked him as a human. And
Exactly.
If you remember, one of my most watched ever videos I ever put on for my daily sermon, my most watched ever, was when I went into bat for Rory and saying leave him and his family alone when they're getting divorced. Like,
yep. Same.
I think actually he's a good bloke. I think he was misguided with LIV.
Yes.
Right.
The worst thing, really quick, that I've said about him, I will say I did call him Soy Boy McIlroy. Shout out to Mrs. PGC that actually gave me that. But that was only because, like, we knew that other people were pulling his strings against this whole LIV narrative that he was doing. I wanted him to be his own man. The last, like, 9 months has been his own man, and there's a couple other decisions that he needs to make to sort of get to that next level, and I will never call him that again, for sure.
So, very quickly then, where my brain's gone blank. I can't remember how many points you get for what places you finish and LIV. Can you remember what they are? My brain's gone blank.
Yeah, so
how scoring works. Hang on,
I've got
it. Yeah. I've got it. Hang on, here we go.
No, first place is 40 points. Yeah.
So hang on. Top 15 is what we need, right? So if we look at the bottom of the table, Scott Vincent, Brandon Grace need to finish in the points. No, they don't. No. Scott Vincent or Brandon Grace need to finish 18th or better to stay up, assuming Pat Perez and Harold Varner get no points. And then Conley Smoyer and Kieran Vincent need to finish. Oh, crikey! They need to finish in.
They finished pretty high. Yeah.
No, not too high. They need to finish
top 15, right?
14 or higher.
Yeah.
So
top 15. Yeah.
So 14 or higher, and for the other two, sorry, I got it wrong, is 17 or higher.
Okay.
Is there any chance any of those four are going to finish 17 or 14? Because if they don't, Vincent, Grace, Smoyer, and Vincent are down. Any chance?
No. I think that the only one that we can see that's currently in the drop zone that's sort of, because he's been trending a little bit. I've seen a few things. Well, really two guys. Brandon Grace, I think, can finish top 15 for sure. He was trending last event at Greenbrier. He finished 20th. He was pretty close. And Bubba Watson, even though Bubba Watson won't be relegated, like, I know it's like a huge pride thing for him that he doesn't want to be in the drop zone, because he's already gone on record to say that hey, if he's not performing, he will step down and bring in someone else. Shout out Tony Finau. So I think that's something. I think he wants to play well. I think that he's due to have a good event. I'm rooting for Bubba Watson to get in. However, we also have to say, if somebody gets up there, that means that the guys that are in 47 and 48 are in trouble. That would be my guys from Four Aces, Harold Varner and Pat Perez. And I can't believe we're even talking about Harold Varner. I mentioned on the last podcast, like, I need to see something from Harold Varner. Like, he's just had a horrible season. He's got one event to sort of pick it up a little bit. Like, I'm still hopeful that he's going to do it. And Pat Perez being in 48, like I've already said how much I like Pat Perez. He's one of my favorite players on LIV. I don't want to see those guys get relegated at all. So I would much rather see them play well and move up than anybody else in the drop zone kick them out.
But yeah, it's back to that thing that you say: you earn it or you don't. And
Yep.
I happen to think that Harold Varner's probably safe.
Really?
Well, just because his points means that Brandon Grace can't catch him. He can only catch Pat Perez.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean it's they're gonna have to finish pretty high.
Brandon Grace can catch him. He's just got to finish 14th
He's got
or
4
higher.
points. Yeah, he needs to get 4 points.
The 17th place only applies for beating Pat Perez. Brandon
Yeah.
Grace really needs to finish much higher.
Yeah.
In
I can see it
14th. So
happening,
I think Harold Varner's safe. But
Yeah.
unless Pat Perez does well and Scott Vincent does well. But look, at the end of the day, he's up to you to do it. Now, we said we'd do this week. So we said we'd do it in a couple of weeks' time. But I just want to cover. I'm looking down the list of players in the open zone, and I think the vast majority are going to be kept, whether on their team or not. Tell me anyone you think is going to be let go by LIV. Hughes, Tringale, McDowell, Herbert, Hewline, Horsfield, Howell, Nar, Ogletree, Peters, Westwood, Lee, and that's Westwood, Danny Lee, Shikara, Keimer, Surratt, Jones, Stenson, Catlin, who I think will be signed to LIV when as the teams grow, Pereira, Mickelson, Kazuma, Poulter, Varner, Perez. Now, I don't think, and you and I both don't think anyone will keep Varner. So outside of Varner, is there any name there that you think won't be kept on? Because if they were just going to stay to a 54-person league, then obviously people are going to go. But I think they're going to try to go to 60, so they can't really, unless they're going to bring in like 8 to 10 new players, they can't just shed a load, can they?
That is true, and that's definitely something that people need to be on the lookout for. However, I think we're going to follow kind of a similar pattern to what we saw last year, where someone like Bernd Wiesberger finished 44th. He was in the open zone, and
no one picked him up.
Didn't have a spot. So, and he's out there playing on the European tour now. And then someone like Graham McDowell finished like in that similar range. I think it was like 42nd or something like that. He was kind of on the outside looking in for a while, and then eventually Smash wound up picking him up. I think we're going to have a similar situation. I think we're going to have probably 2 or 3 guys that are in the open zone that are not retained. Varner maybe being one. Like I see a couple of guys that I'm like a qualifier, like Kazuma. Like, yes, it sounds like we are probably going back to Japan. We're going to Japan for the first time next year, which would probably indicate maybe a Japanese team. Obviously, that means that he will probably move to another team. But if that doesn't happen, like I don't think the Ironheads will probably retain him because there's other guys that are potentially coming in. So Kazuma would be one. And then, like, honestly, Matt Jones, like, I think that the Rippers could potentially bring in an upgrade for Matt Jones.
So
I know he's very close.
That was my other one.
Mm-hmm. Those two are the ones that kind of stand out to me.
Also, if we do have a Japanese team and they don't call it the Shogun, and think of the amazing merch you can do off the back of the Samurai Shoguns. Oh, it'd be so good. It'd be so good. Like it's a merchandiser's dream. There's just someone sat there who's done 300 images like the Legion one or the Aces one. They've got the most amazing. Like, if they do not call the team Shogun or something of that ilk, what are we even doing anymore?
Well, there is kind of a pet. So there is a show on FX. I don't know if anybody else has watched it, called Shogun. Yeah. There was also a show called Legion. So like they could be. I was thinking, because of the trademark rights, maybe that might be a problem. But I don't think that it is. I think that would be a great name. So yeah, we'll have to see. I don't know. I have no insight into the names for now. I didn't have any insight into Legion until it happened. So we'll
Tokugawa Shogunate. I just the Japanese history around all of that. I'll be so amazing. And then obviously they've got to be sponsored by Strixon. They've all got to be Strixon guys. Right. Anyway, we're gonna have to end the show. It's an hour long. We're meant to be 45 minutes. We've done it again. We haven't got Red to distract us. Where is Red today? He's just skiving off or what?
Red's
debut, and that's it.
No. Red is actually he's gonna be going to Chicago for the individual championship. Kind of felt like for this particular one of the politics stuff, he likes to kind of stay neutral when it comes to a lot of politics stuff. But yeah, he for any of the LIV pregame or sort of recap stuff, Red is 100% gonna be a part of it. But he does like to stay. He's very much down the center when it comes to the golf politics. But yeah, he'll be back in the fold soon.
And do you want to comment on the American election? No.
No, we're gonna save that one. But if you follow my tweets at all, you kind of know where I'm going here. But yeah, I'm very independent, obviously, and I've already revealed who I'm rooting for, and he's someone that's actually dropped out of the race in a lot of states. So, but there's reasons behind it that I won't get into.
Well, oh yeah, I think it was. Because your two-party system is just so hard to break in for a third candidate, isn't it? Just isn't a thing. Just can't be done.
Yeah, it's basically what needs to happen is a third-party candidate needs to get at least 5% of the popular vote. And if that happens, then we have a viable third party potentially for the next election in 2028. So that's what's sort of driving because like this whole 4-year cycle stuff, like, I mean, and in the end, it doesn't really matter who gets elected this time. I'm thinking, just like LIV, I'm not thinking about next year. I'm thinking about 5, 10, 15, 20 years down the line. So that's what I identify with. PGA Tour, it's very much on the same cycle as the election, where it's like every 2-4 years, it's like, oh yeah, we've got to figure out a sponsor for next year. Like, no, I'm thinking we need to start thinking macro in golf. We need to start thinking macro in politics too. I'll end it there.
Right. On that note, before you endorse Trump or Kamala Harris, let's end this now.
There will be no endorsement of either one of those two candidates on this podcast. Not happening.
It reminds me of that South Park episode. Have you ever seen the South Park episode on politics?
I used to watch that.
It's running for school. It's running for school. I'm not casting aspersions. If I was living in America, I know who I'd vote for. So, but I don't need to reveal that. But it reminds me of the episode in South Park where they're running for school governor or school whatever, and you got the choice of a giant douche or a turd sandwich, and I just thought it's so good. It's just so good the way they did that. I remember once I was out with my late father. His funeral's tomorrow, actually, and one of his old friends, Jack, this wizened old Herefordian bloke, went, the thing with politics, he said, is it's just like eating a shit sandwich. I went, all right, why is that? He went, the only choice you get is whether you use knives and forks or just use your hands. You've still got to eat it. And I was like, brilliant, love it, absolutely love it. You've got to eat this shit sandwich, but we will let you choose whether you use cutlery or not. I got brilliant, fantastic.
That's a great way.
On that
way to end it.
Yeah. Thank you, Jack, for providing me with that pearl, which I've told many times. Take care, everybody. Stay safe.